Probably in the next 10 years, you're going to have what I call ambient AI. AI is always on around you, making your life automagical. You're going to be chauffeured around by an autonomous vehicle that's 4 or 5 times cheaper than owning a car. You're heading towards the front door. Your AI knows your schedule. You open the front door of your home, and because your AI knows your sleep score from last night, it knows you didn't get enough sleep, so it pulls up a car with a lie-down bed in it. And the world becomes, automatic and magical for you. And you're going to give access to your AI to listen to your conversations, look at the cameras in your home, because when you do that, it's able to support you in so many different ways.
Do we need to change how we view privacy going forward in the world?
The question is, do you actually believe we have privacy? And I would say to you that we actually don't. Everything we do is out in the ecosystem. I can shake your hand, scrape a couple of skin cells off of you, sequence you, and know everything about your health, right? And AI can read your lips from 100 meters away. We are constantly dribbling data all the time. Privacy is, I think, an old concept. The value to our lives, it's like having the most extraordinary executive assistant, always knowing what you want.
I just think of things like that are basically here now, that'll be here very soon, but is sensing that my blood pressure's increased. The amount of people that won't have strokes, that used to have strokes, that won't have a heart attack, those going to have a heart attack. You guys, it's just going to be, and I mean now almost, a different way of life, of living. That I have my concerns, but I'm so excited about the way it will change the way people live, and particularly for people that don't have means.
It is democratizing and demonetizing access to this.
All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. So this man is back on his mom's favorite podcast today, the Ed Mylett Show. First person I thought of this morning was not my guest, not my kids, not my family. I thought about his mom, because our show is his favorite podcast.
It's so great. My mom is like, I heard you on Ed Mylett's podcast. It's like, that made me a hero.
Not the fact that you've changed the world multiple times, the fact that you've been on our show. But I got to tell you guys something. For me, there's unicorn companies, and then there's very rarely unicorn humans. Peter's a unicorn. And he's brilliant. He's you guys, every time he's on, the downloads go through the roof. He's an entrepreneur. I guess he's a futurist. He's a physician. He's an investor. He's a guy who's got his pulse on what's happening in the world as it changes at light speed. And he is the guy that I go to figure out where we're all going as a species. And we're going to do a little bit of that today. He's got a book that you should go get called We Are as Gods, which we'll talk about today. He's obviously the founder of the X Prize as well, which we'll touch on that. This is going to be a ride for the next 55 minutes you guys are going to love with Peter Diamandis. Welcome back to the show, young man.
Pleasure to be here, pal. Pleasure to be here.
Great to have you. Okay, I'm going to start with a crazy question first, okay?
Yep.
My son wanted me to ask you this. So let's start. Let's go way out there. Okay?
Most important, yes.
What prediction do you have about the next 10 years? Here's a tough one. That most people will think is crazy, but you actually think is going to happen over the next decade.
How's
that?
So it's a great question, and thank your son for it. There are so many. First of all, in the next 10 years, we are going to learn how to fundamentally reverse aging. We're on the verge of this so-called longevity escape velocity, where for every year that you're alive, your life gets longer by a year, your health span, your longevity. And that's going to be an incredible future, one where aging becomes somewhat optional. We're learning and understanding that. In the next 10 years, we're likely to have 1 billion humanoid robots roaming the planet, where you are on the streets, you're in offices, you look around, and you've got almost as many humans or robots as you have humans.
Wow.
These robots are going to start to enter into our world. Probably in the next 10 years for your son, we're going to see as many autonomous vehicles or more autonomous vehicles on the road than cars. Right now here in Santa Monica, when my kids and I are out and about, we'll count the number of Waymos out there. And there are, probably in a half hour time, we'll see 10 or 12, 15 Waymos. But it's just the beginning. There are going to be probably 5 to 10 electric autonomous ride share companies on the streets, from cyber cabs to projects that Uber has going. Probably in the next 10 years, you're going to have what I call ambient AI. AI is always on around you, making your life auto-magical. Before you walk into a room, your AI knows if you're depressed or sad, and it changes the music for you. Maybe on the TV screen, your favorite comedian comes up. Your AI is like knowing that you're walking in a particular direction to get someplace, and it says, "Hey, there's a set of stairs over there. Take the stairs instead of the elevator." Or your AI is telling you, "Listen," or not telling you anything. It's telling the humanoid robot in your kitchen that Peter needs more protein and more water and more vitamin D. So let's change the what you're serving him for lunch. So the world becomes automatic and magical in this fashion, right? So much, AI today is something you use on your computer or on your phone, and you have to go to it. In the near future, it is, as I said, ambient. It's enabling you always. And we can start to dream at a much higher level than ever before. Our ambitions can scale, our desires can scale. Anyway, so a lot. And I also think that the economy is going to go through the roof, and we can talk about that.
Um, wow, number one, I got to know you enough over the last few years. You're an optimist, I think, by nature. And
I
so
am.
when I've asked you that question, it was a lot of bubble gums and rainbows right there, and very exciting. Same time, my son, who asked that question, he's getting into his mid-20s now, a couple years out of college. And I noticed this last year, Peter, at the college graduations. I don't know if you've seen these clips,
I
but if
have.
any of the people giving the commencement addresses brought up AIs, AI. I mean, the kids started booing.
Poor Eric Schmidt. I mean, I
Did
know
you see
Eric
that?
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
do.
did.
I know Eric as well. And so the boos rang all over the place every single time AI came up at one of these, at least that I saw. And so that tells me there's a lot of trepidation and worry at people that are in that entering the labor force. This is a generic question. I know I don't want you to answer it this way. I want you to dig deep in that brain of yours. What advice really would you give someone that's at 22, 24, 25? Here's the industries that will exist and will flourish, and here's the ones that aren't going anywhere and are probably going to go away.
Really important to me, and something I've dedicated a good amount of my life to understanding and addressing. I mean, my innermost purpose is to inspire and guide entrepreneurs and humanity to create a hopeful, compelling vision for the future. So, first of all, it's really important that anybody, from my 15-year-old boys to your 20-something-year-old son, how old is your son?
24.
24. To find a purpose. That I think that's the single most important. So I teach a lot about mindsets. I think mindsets are the most important thing you have. Your mindset determines how you deal with a challenge or how you deal with an opportunity. And the mindsets required for this next decade fundamentally are a purpose-driven mindset and a curiosity mindset. A purpose. What is a purpose? So a passion is something you love doing. A purpose is something you love doing that helps other people,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so
Distinct.
you don't have to have one purpose for all of your life. Your purpose can change over time. You can layer it. My first purpose was opening up the space frontier. That launched Zero G Space Adventures, the X Prize Foundation, a whole bunch of companies of how do we make humanity multiplanetary. My purpose of late has been how do we navigate the next 10 years? Because while I believe we're going to have incredible future of abundance, elements I just discussed a minute ago, I also believe we're going to have a rough patch over the next 2 to 8 years.
Mm.
Um, and a lot of that comes from fear about the future. I'll come back to that in a moment. But if someone can find their purpose and they can maintain a curiosity mindset, the greatest educator in the world is your AI.
Mm.
Any of the large language models that you can chat with, you can learn anything.
Mm.
But if you have a purpose, like I really want to solve this problem, I really want to create this future. That purpose is your guiding star.
Great.
It's what drives you. What wakes you up in the morning and has you going through the rest of the day. Right? You and I are so lucky that we have a purpose in all that we do. And we love doing it, right? It's joyful.
Yeah.
It gives us energy. If someone can find their purpose, and you find your purpose by being around other people, by thinking about what would I spend the day doing if I could do anything. What gives me the greatest excitement, and how do I connect that with helping other people? The ability to help people, right? I like to say that the world's biggest problems are the world's biggest business opportunities. Want to become a billionaire? Help a billion people. These alignments are so there. So if you can find your purpose, it will be your rocket fuel. And curiosity is like, oh, okay, how would I do that? So, my podcast Moonshots has done very well, not as great as your incredible podcast has done, and an honor to be here with you.
Thank you.
And I talk about the fact that anybody can be an entrepreneur, and people push back on that. But if you are able, the old social contract was do well in high school, get into good college, get a degree, and go get a job. And there's a lot of evidence, and this is why Eric Schmidt's getting booed and others are getting booed at the commencement addresses, that paradigm is cooked. Going and getting a job, which is really the industrial revolution's way of we need factory workers, we need people who can do these jobs for us. Instead, if you can find your purpose, you can find a problem that you care about solving, and you can build a solution for it. So I just launched, I was at Google I/O, their big event of the year, last week, in fact, and we launched something called the Build with Gemini X Prize. It's the largest hackathon in the world, and it's meant to be a hackathon for non-coders. So here's what you have to do. You can go to GeminiXprize.com, XPRIZE, Gemini, and it's $2 million in prize money. You should pick a problem that impacts 100,000 people or more. It should be a reasonably good problem. And there are a lot of problems that impact 100,000 people globally. And then in plain English, you should describe, this is what the website should look like. This is what the app should look like. This is the problem I'm trying to solve. And you can use the current agents out there to build a solution. And so the goal here is pick a problem, describe what you want to do to solve it and how you want to solve it in English. Your agent will code it, then you're going to market it, and whoever can generate the most revenue in 3 months' time will win this. There is a $500,000 prize, a number of $100,000 prizes, and then $50,000 prizes. And the notion is, again, I want to teach people to take control of their destiny. They have agency. And I've had so many people who've written back on my podcast saying, I did what you said. I went and I used my curiosity mindset, and I said, this is who I am. This is my skills. This is where I'm doing in life. I want to build a business that uses my passion and brainstorming with the AI. And I've had so many people who literally have gone from having no idea what to do to actually coming up with an idea and then building it using AI, because it is now at a point where every single human anywhere. I'll give you the example. I was in Morocco with my family, and we were in a small village, and we were introduced by the hotel concierge to a young man who was giving e-bike tours of that village. And he took us around. We stopped for some Moroccan tea at his home and started a conversation. How did you start doing this? He goes, well, I came back. I had no income. I got on ChatGPT and I said, these are my skills. This is what I do. Can you help me brainstorm something? And this e-bike touring came out of it, and it became a really successful business for him. And that is possible for anybody. And I want people to realize they have agency. They have agency in the world.
It sounds to me, by the way, two things on that I want to, and we'll keep going back and forth. One is that I've never heard this. And by the way, I've done 4 trillion podcasts and read all the books, and I never heard someone paint the distinction between passion and purpose like that.
Mm.
There is a difference, and I don't even know that I really ever realized it until you just articulated it. That's number one. Number two is this is a time where you really have to take agency over your life. We're going to go back actually to a former time where most people are self-employed and do work for
Yes,
themselves and don't
the
work for.
job is a recent creation.
Correct. It's the
People
last
don't
100-year
realize that,
creation.
right?
People don't realize it. That's
Like,
right.
500 years ago,
Yeah.
or 1,000 years ago, you didn't have a job. You work.
That's
You
right.
literally you survived.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sadhguru. I don't know if you know
I love
Sadhguru.
I love Sadhguru. He's been on the
Yeah,
show.
I
He's
do
a good
too.
friend.
Yeah, so I was on a stage with him 10 years ago. He said something I never forgot. He said, technology is the means by which humanity takes a vacation from survival. I was like, boom, wow,
Wow.
that's so
Wow,
powerful.
that is powerful. One of the things that's really booming right now is people deciding to take their children's education into their own hands, and I absolutely understand that. And if you're a family that's looking for a new path to help their child succeed, K-12 could be the perfect fit. K-12 Powered Schools offers, listen to this, tuition-free, accredited online public education for students kindergarten through 12th grade. They know learning isn't one size fits all. They're going to meet your child's needs, meaning they're going to figure out the best way to educate your child on their learning style. They're the best. They provide everything a student needs to feel safe, motivated, and then basically thrive in a learning environment. Flexible education options tailored to each child's needs, interests, and goals for the future. K-12's dedicated teachers are trained in virtual instruction and provide real-time support. It's the best. Whatever works for your family, they've got it there. So see how K-12 Powered Schools can help unlock your child's full potential. Enroll online today at k12.com/Mylett. That's the letter K, number 12.com/Mylett. Hey guys, I am not new to the gym. Most of you know that. I know my way around a barbell. Some would even say I am a dumbbell. But if I was doing the same 4 lifts for 2 years and wondering why nothing was changing, look, turns out the problem wasn't effort, it was the plan. That's when I found Ladder. Ladder is an expert strength training plan, not a content library. These aren't influencer workouts. It's a real progressive programming designed by certified coaches. You get a new plan every week that builds on the last. The workouts connect for if you want to be bodybuilding, strength training, conditioning, hybrid, functional fitness. Whether you train at home or in the gym, there's a plan for you. So listen. Remove the guesswork with Ladder and get a real coach in your ear telling you exactly what you need to do every workout, no thinking, everything planned for you. If you have an iPhone, head to ladder.fit/Mylett and take a quick quiz to find your perfect ladder plan. Use my link and get a free 7-day trial with no credit card and add $10 off your first month if you join. I asked Tim this, so I'll ask you. I asked him this privately. The flip side of what you just said, taking agency, taking initiative for your life and starting to control the direction of it, and really losing this concept of dependency on not just government, but also an employer. You're going to have to probably break yourself from that. And no one said that on the show until you just said it. The flip side of that, however, is for those that don't, I worry about certain things atrophying as a human species. So, for example, I want your opinion on this. I think it's fair to say, and this is a broad stroke, I don't mean this as a criticism, but I think, guys, people our age learned how to communicate in interpersonal relationships because we didn't have devices to text and call and all that. I think that's something that's atrophied with the next generation, their interpersonal communication skills. It's just sort of become weaker as they've used devices to do that for them. Are you concerned about that as an overall problem with AI, meaning people, it's doing everything for you, that we just as people begin to become more and more dependent and our brains literally begin to atrophy because we're not using them as much?
I wrote I have a Substack that I put out twice a week, and I recently put out a newsletter on what I call the 5 forks, splits of humanity. And the first one is what I call the consumer versus creator. And I think people are going to have an option, and it's going to be a gradation, of course, but there are those who are going to use this incredible technology coming our way to be a consumer where you're sitting back on the couch, your Optimus robot is bringing you a beer or whatever, and you're watching a AI generated Netflix series that stars you and your friends on the Starship Enterprise, and it's like literally you're consuming. And there are going to be those who are creators, those who use this incredible technology
Ah,
to
so good.
create whatever they want,
So good.
right? And so it's the Wall-E future as the consumer versus the Star Trek future as the creator.
Mhm.
And we're going to have to choose. And
Mhm.
there'll be those that are just happy to sit back, and we're going to have some version of universal basic income. We can speak about
You're
that.
reading my mind. That's my next question. You're reading my mind. Keep going.
All right, and there are those again. Those are the consumers of
Mhm.
the technology. It's almost like technological socialism, where not the state is taking care of you, but technology is taking care of you.
Mhm.
And then there's the creators who are like, I want to go big. This is my purpose in life. How do I do that? How do I build this
Mhm.
capability for people?
Mhm.
Um, and I'm on a soapbox saying, you have the tools to make your greatest dreams come true.
Mhm.
Don't self-limit yourself. Most of us limit what we believe we can do,
Yep.
right?
By the way, and that limitation oftentimes has been some of it's been valid. It's been based on your limited intellect, your limited ability to reach. And now, actually, the more I'm thinking through this, those barriers of entry can be eliminated because of AI. And
Totally.
and it allows a more average, ordinary person like myself to go build an extraordinary life. You're making me, honestly, I'm actually really thinking about where my messaging needs to go myself. And it's certainly, the more I'm talking with you, appears to be that you've got to begin to take agency initiative over your life. So my next question was this: all the way back to the Milton Friedman days of some sort of guaranteed minimum income has been a concept. Most, by the way, conservatives don't know this. First guy that promoted it was actually a conservative, and then it's become more of kind of, I think, a liberal construct. But now you have guys like, and Peter is one of the few people who truly has been close to Elon Musk. You hear him say probably won't be any jobs in 5 years or 8 years. What are your thoughts on, do you think we're heading towards an inevitable, some sort of universal basic income? And is that a bad thing if we did?
Yeah. So here's the reality. My concern is again this turbulent period. My numbers are
2 to 8 years.
very soon.
Yep.
Next year to the next 8 years. Um, and we saw Sam Altman get a Molotov cocktail and gunshots.
Yep.
We see Eric Schmidt getting booed,
Yep.
and the turbulence will come from young testosterone-laden males who can't get a job
Mm.
early on. The biggest area of unemployment is ages 22 to 28, recent college graduates,
Mm.
right? You've just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yep.
to get a degree that is not enabling you to get the job you thought you were going to get.
Yep.
And if you can't afford a car, can't afford a home, can't get married because of that, you're angry. And this is where anger is coming from. And we're going to see, I think, in this period of social unrest, the government is going to have to take some level of action. And what action can they take? It's the equivalent of COVID checks, right? We
Yep.
saw that $1,000 a month being issued by the government.
Mm.
I think it's likely to be closer to like $3,000 a month
Mm.
as a UBI version. It won't be for everybody, be those who really are in this period of extremis. When I had Elon, and Elon's been a friend for 26 years, no matter what you think of him politically,
Mm.
whatever, the guy has built the most extraordinary companies on the planet.
Right.
And I know him well enough to know he loves solving problems.
Mm.
That's what drives him
Mm.
to create solutions to the world's biggest problems over and over again on energy, on compute, on opening the space frontier, all of these areas. Um, and so I had him twice on my Moonshots podcast, once in January and recently in March uh, during my Abundance Summit.
Wow.
And he said two things. One, we're going to head towards universal high income. I asked him, how do we do that? And, he had some basic ideas. I've since published a few papers on this. And then he said recently in March that we're going to see, ASI, advanced, artificial super intelligence and humanoid robots, uh, creating so much supply of whatever you want. And these are his words, that you could not want enough,
Mm.
where AI and technology could not provide that for you. And so what universal high income is not that everybody's becoming a multi-billionaire. It's that the cost of things are going to begin to plummet.
Hmm.
They'll be higher in the near term, and we're going to end up crushing the existing healthcare system and education system,
Just thinking that. Wow.
right? Where the best healthcare in the world will be free.
Yep.
In other words, this is the case today that AIs are a much better diagnostician than a human physician. And we talked about this on the podcast as well, that if you need surgery in the future, if you're trying to get the best surgeon, it's expensive. But imagine a future in which the best surgeon in the world is a humanoid robot, which has not seen, 10,000 surgeries during its lifetime. It's seen, 10 million surgeries. All of the robots share the memories. So the robot is the most precise, the most capable. And what's the cost of that robot delivering the surgery? It's the cost of electricity,
The energy,
and the capital expense. And these robots, the prediction from Brett Adcock at Figure, from Mr. Bornick at 1X by Elon, that the cost of these robots will be around $20,000 each, which means you can lease them for $300 a month, $10 a day, under $1 per hour. So imagine the best surgeons in the world, these robots able to provide the best surgery, whether you're in Botswana or Boston. We're going to also see the best educators in the world be AIs that knows your child's favorite color, sports star, their language skills, what they can do, and it creates the perfect educational experience to help take your child from where they are to another level, driven by purpose, driven by curiosity, right? So the things that we spend a lot of money on are going to begin to dematerialize. Rather than owning a car, you're going to be chauffeured around by an autonomous vehicle that's 4 or 5 times cheaper than owning a car. So the poorest people are being chauffeured around, right? And that car, you're at breakfast, you step up from the breakfast table, you're heading towards the front door, your AI knows your schedule. You open the front door of your home and a car pulls in automatically because it's been, your AI has enabled that. And you get into the car, and because your AI knows your sleep score from last night, it knows you didn't get enough sleep, so it pulls up a car with a lie-down bed in it. And the world becomes, automatic and magical for you.
This scenario you just described, I'm going to interrupt you there.
Yeah.
When? Is that 10 years from now, or is that 5 years from now?
No. Within 3 to 5 years, we're going to see these, the ambient AI, and you're going to give access to your AI to listen to your conversations, look at the cameras in your home, understand, the sensors on your body and so forth. Because when you do that, it's able to support you in so many different ways that, again, it's anticipating your needs and providing for you in a magical fashion.
That's the most amazing thing. By the way, my audience is always, when we're doing shows, I'll get messages saying that they, Ed, what did you think? Jump in. I just have to tell you all, there's so many things that I've reached similar conclusions on through all of the shows that we've done on this topic and all the reading. And one of them that I am most excited about is the idea of high quality, the best we've ever had in the history of the world, healthcare at a fraction of the cost. Because of telemedicine, because of what AI can do, because there's no bias in the physician, there's no fatigue in the physician, and that access and regularity is going to reduce the barrier of entry so dramatically that just that alone is going to extend the quality of life, never mind the innovation of the technology through AI and the altering of genetics and all these other things. That's a whole other topic. Just great health care for everybody at a reduced price. It's going to be unbelievable. That alone will extend life.
Yeah, 100%. God bless my mom. We mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, she just turned 90, and saying, hey, so shout out to Tula, my mom. It's like, Mom, please take advantage of these technologies, and everybody should.
So I know I'm not the only one who hates long holds when needing to call customer service. It drives me nuts. I'm sure it does you as well. But here's something nobody talks about, though. The person on the other end, they hate it just as much. This is the most universally despised system in business, and it's long overdue for a rethink. And that's where 11 Agents comes in. If I knew 11 Agents existed by 11 Labs, it's what I would use. Whatever needs to happen, the voice sounds like a human, the response time feels immediate. If you run a business of any kind with customer operations, support, sales, or onboarding, you can start with a demo. 11labs.io/Mylett. See what 11 Agents can do for your specific workflows. Guided rollout capacity is limited each quarter, so if you want to be one of the first companies with a customer experience that people actually walk away feeling good about, now's the time. 11labs.io/Mylett. ELEVENLABS.io/Mylett. So many of you have asked how to see me speak live, and for the first time ever, you can come see me speak live in person. All of my speeches have been private events, but now I'm teaming up with LifeSurge, speaking all over the country. LifeSurge is a one-day faith-based event where you'll walk in hungry for success, and you'll leave ready to build your resources to leave an impact on others. We're talking faith-fueled finance, growing your resources, crushing obstacles, and then, using it all for something way bigger than yourself. I'm joining LifeSurge in a few cities this year, and I'd love to see you there. I'll be sharing the stage with legends such as two-time football champion Tim Tebow, star of Duck Dynasty Willie Robertson, and leadership hero of mine John Maxwell, pastor and author Craig Groeschel, and worship with artists like Natalie Grant. Tickets are on sale at lifesurge.com. And just for my listeners, you can use the code ED30 for 30% off a ticket. There will be a link in the show notes, so click through and take some time to join us. Cities are being added all the time, so if you don't see one near you now, check back. I hope to see you there.
There's work going on right now. One of my dear friends, one of the top thinkers at a Harvard Medical School, by the name of David Sinclair.
I love David.
Yeah, I've had the chance to help fund his research to a significant amount and invest in his companies. And he is in human trials right now for what's called epigenetic reprogramming, which is the leading technology for reversing aging. And Dario Amodei, who's the CEO of Anthropic, arguably the most advanced AI system out there today, that they produce Claude. He went on the record saying that he believes that AI will have the potential, if it continues as it's been going, to double the human lifespan in the next 5 to 10 years. Wow. I mean, that should blow people's minds. Demis Hassabis, the CEO of DeepMind, part of Google's ecosystem, has said he believes that we're going to cure all disease within the next 10 years: cancer, heart disease, inflammatory disease, autoimmune disease. And so this incredible future of health is coming. And the cost of these things, and people say, well, it's only for the wealthy. No, the people working on this are focused on making it affordable to everybody. Another X Prize, Ed, if I could, I launched 4 years ago. I raised $157 million for something called the Health Span X Prize. And you go to xprize.org and learn about it. And it's a competition asking teams to deliver a therapy in humans that can reverse the losses due to aging in cognition, immune, and muscle. So that after a therapy that should be less than a year, you now have the cognitive abilities you had 20 years ago, the muscle building abilities you had 20 years ago, the immune function you had 20 years ago. We have 830 teams competing for this, and we expect a winner by 2029, 2030. This is all happening now. And I want people to get excited about the future.
Every time I talk with you, but especially today, I am excited. I'm actually sort of bouncing in the chair. I want to take a little side road. This is such a bizarre side road I want to take, but it's how my bizarre brain works. And this is for my folks that are past, say, 45 maybe. Actually, even you young folks that are listening. There is another impact if you do double lifespan, or if you do extend it by 30 or 40 years. And let me say to you what it is, because I sort of look at this all the time. And I bet you haven't been asked this one. You're going to need more money to retire. There's been this sort of social contract that you said that's been broken with these college kids. My daughter graduated from Clemson 2 weeks ago, and I was at the graduation thinking, this is, and I mean with all due respect, it's a great college and school's great, but this is an archaic concept. We're sending these several thousand kids out into the world, and most of them have debt, and my gosh, there aren't any jobs for them right now. Having said all of that, the flip side of it is, you used to retire at 62 and you were gone at 68. Now, one thing everyone needs to be aware of, you're going to need more money to have your life. Have you ever thought about that? I mean, if someone's going to live to 120, or 130, that's not the same as having 10 years worth of retirement money saved. I just thought of it on the side road when we were
Yeah,
talking.
you're absolutely right. So when I'm on stages with financial advisors,
Yeah.
I'm saying, what are you advising your clients for? You
Mm,
know, if you're saying, hey, save enough money to get to 80,
right.
and you get there, and all of a sudden, uh, uh-oh,
Right. Right.
I've got more runway. So here's an interesting question. Why do people retire? Right? People retire for one of three reasons. Either one, legally, their industry, their company forces them to retire, or two, they're in pain. All right. There's nothing worse than that. It's
Mm,
like, I'm in pain every day. I just can't do this anymore. Or you're exhausted, you're out of energy.
mm,
But imagine that at age 60, 65, 70, you've got the energy and the vitality of what you had when you were 40.
mm,
Um, you're at the top of your game. Do you really still want to retire, or do you want to
mm,
like go build the next thing?
mm-hmm.
So I think the idea, I think of retirement as a four-letter word personally, because
Yep.
if you Google the correlation between retirement and death, it's really high.
It's true.
A lot of people who retire lose their purpose in life,
You're right.
and you need to regain that
I
purpose.
was just literally thinking, you know what you got to do? You got to re-audit your purpose, because this idea that, that you can use AI to create a brand new purpose in your life and pursue it. I got a question for you about that. Do you think, I think I know what you think, but do you think we'll have the first, well, they say we already have one, but someone who built a business with just them using AI become a billionaire in the next 5 years? Just them.
100%, 100%. So the data,
100%. Wow.
I just pulled this up for my pod I'm doing on Thursday. If you look at solopreneurs,
Right.
right, just single individuals
Right.
building companies, that number has doubled in the past year.
Hmm.
So the ability to actually, you know, say, this is something I care about. This is an opportunity I want to create. And then being able to partner with AI to go and build that business
Mm-hmm.
on your own. I mean, an AI can spin up a website for you, spin up an app,
Yep.
create a marketing program. So, even 5 years ago, if you need to start a business, you need to go get a lawyer, get a business license, get a financial advisor, go and get a web person, go and get advertising help,
Salespeople,
sales,
bookers,
all of that,
yep,
all of
closers,
these things.
yep,
And today, you don't need any of those.
yep,
Um,
yep.
and so your cost of entry has plummeted
Mm,
by 100x,
mm,
and most people don't know that because they haven't played, they haven't tried. Again, this is the purpose mindset and the curiosity mindset working together to go and just try doing stuff.
mm.
Be willing to iterate and fail. Take agency. Be driven by something in your heart and your soul.
It's
Yeah.
one thing I've learned from you, not to interrupt you, but after I thought about your mom this morning, I was thinking about you and things I admire. Obviously, I think you were given a God-given IQ that's higher than most, but the action, and there's other things about you, just an optimistic person. You bring great energy. You elevate other people. There's just things about you that are just very
Thank you,
special.
pal.
But one of them, Peter, is, and I just talk about just for a second. When I think of you, I think of maybe the most curious person I know. In fact, most of my close friends, if you were to ask me, what is it? They either are unbelievably entertaining and make me laugh, or they're incredibly curious people about
Yes.
life. Would you say that's true of you? And how important is that for all of us to tap into our curiosity about life and where it's going and why we're here and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's
Mm,
like you can know anything today,
mm,
right? So it's like, rather if you're listening to this podcast,
mm,
or reading an article and you have a question about something, it sparks that moment of you can stop, get onto your favorite LLM, whether it's Gemini or Claude or
mm,
ChatGPT, and start to say, hey, I just heard about this thing called quantum physics or quantum computing or
mm.
whatever, and say, what does that mean? Or like, can you explain that to me like I'm five? Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't. What does that term mean? And just go down the rabbit hole of
Mm,
curiosity.
mm.
You have the most infinitely patient teacher to follow your curiosity. You just have to be willing to ask.
So
Um,
true.
Yeah, magical, right? I mean,
It's absolutely. And by the way, I got to tell you all, this is Peter's a guy who's on the cutting edge of everything. I'm really not, other than the fact that I do the show. And I have really thrown myself into being curious about what the world's going to look like, how I stay relevant in it. And I have to tell you something, you guys. I've learned so much the last 2 years. The last 8 months has been
yes.
fascinating. The acceleration of my learning because of the acceleration of the technology itself. And frankly, I was a little late business wise, and that's what I wanted to ask you about. Someone here already owns a business of any type, or they're the number two or number one at a company where they're running it for somebody. As a broad concept, what's the number one mistake you think business owners or business people are making right now as it relates to AI? And what's the number one thing they should do to make a shift in direction?
So the number one mistake that people make is not willing to try.
Yeah.
There's this like gap between like the 0 to 1 step of well, it's not for me, or my business is good enough, it's working well, I'm happy with 10% growth. And the reality is that no company is going to exist in the next 5 years. I don't care if you're a laundromat, you're a barbershop, you're, a phlebotomist. Uh, no company is going to exist that doesn't have an AI enablement of it. And you have to start small. And then the part of that mistake is, well, I can't do it. Uh, that is a mindset issue.
It's true.
That is a mindset that of a limiting self-belief that you can't do it. And the fact of the matter is that you can. You just haven't tried yet. And so it's like jumping in and just taking that first step. So anybody, listening right now, you go into one of those models and describe your business. These are my customers. This is our revenue. This is what we provide. Here's my website. Here's my product. Here's my service. And ask, how could I 10x what I'm doing? If Elon Musk or Steve Jobs was gonna help advise me, what would they tell me to do? It's interesting, right? So a lot of individuals, you were all limited by who's on our team, right? And
Yeah.
we have our own thoughts, and we go to our team and ask them their thoughts, but we're all limited in our own knowledge. We're limited by our team's knowledge, but AI can broaden that a billionfold. And you can start to ask questions like, how can I, and what market should I enter next? What are the options? And how would I enter it? And how can I disrupt myself? Start to ask questions, right? When my kids go to school in the morning, I say, ask great questions today. I say that to the CEOs. The quality of your life, the quality of your business is basically the questions that you ask, the quality of the questions you ask.
Golly.
So ask great questions. Ask questions that you never thought could be answered because they can be.
This is so good. All right. I want to talk. We're going to run out of time like I always do with you. But by the way, we cover so much ground in short windows with you. I love that. I'm thinking through some of the fears and objections that I get from people when we talk about the future. Obviously, one of them is we've touched on there's going to be no jobs, or guaranteed minimum high income. That sounds better than guaranteed minimum income. I like that better. But one of the other ones is, you said earlier, the robot's going to be listening to all of your conversations. You know where I'm going. The robot's going to know this about you. And that is, do we need to change how we view privacy going forward in the world? Because that is something that I think it's a growing concern, but it's really going to become one of the primary objections as more of this listening and getting to know us begins to happen.
Great question.
From medical to lifestyle overall privacy.
So first of all, I know that everybody desires privacy. I desire privacy. Everybody does.
Right.
The question is, do you actually believe we have privacy? And I would say to you that we actually don't. I was interesting. My wife wants to get me a watch. I just turned 65. My wife, she wants to give me a watch for my birthday. And we're talking about it. And then all of a sudden I am getting watch ad after ad after ad
Yeah.
on my Google News feed, right? So the reality is everything we do is out in the ecosystem. I can shake your hand, scrape a couple of skin cells off of you, sequence you, and know everything about your health, right? And AI can read your lips from 100 meters away. We are constantly dribbling data all the time. It doesn't mean I don't want to behave as if I have privacy. I do. But privacy is, I think, an old concept. In fact, privacy is a thousand years ago, the idea of privacy was, people didn't have privacy. They were, it's a recent construct of some,
Mhm.
and we are dribbling data all the time. I do believe, and I wrote a Substack about that as well, that there is so much advantage you're going to get by enabling your AI to know everything about you. Right. So today, my AI is called Skippy. I named it after a science fiction character,
Mm.
AI named Skippy. And I give Skippy access to everything. My iMessages, my WhatsApp messages, my email.
Mhm.
This conversation
Mhm.
being recorded by Granola right now will go to Skippy, so it knows everything about me.
Mhm.
And in so doing, it is able to answer questions and do things for me because of that level of integration.
Mhm.
Again, that example I gave of that car pulling up in your front door because it knows your schedule, knows you're walking towards the door, knows you didn't sleep well. Um,
Wow.
the value to our lives, it's like having the most extraordinary executive assistant, personal assistant, always knowing what you want.
Mm.
Um, and the trade is going to be so highly in favor of enabling your AI to support, provide a structure and harness around your life that you're going to willingly do that.
Mm.
People are going to hold back. I get it, but this is coming. I'll give you some other examples. Right, we're on the verge of getting these AR and VR glasses. We just saw Google announce a partnership with Samsung and Warby Parker for glasses that have cameras on them.
Mm.
Meta has done the same. We're going to have a version of this from OpenAI. They're going to be, rather than just the phone, we're going to have some version of wearable imaging and audible pickups all the time. And your AI will know that I'm looking at your blue shirt and I've looked at it a few times. It knows where I'm looking, and it knows that I need some new shirts because it's seen what's in my closet,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it might say, hey, that shirt that Ed was wearing is beautiful. Would you like one of those?
Wow.
And then instantly
Wow.
it shows up on my doorstep later that day. It knows my exact measurements because it's seen me, it's measured me, it knows I did not gain any weight. It knows that whatever the case, and it orders something that fits perfectly for me, right?
My
This
gosh.
future that's coming in the next, 3 years, five at the utmost, uh, is going to be extraordinary.
Wow.
Um, and people can choose not to do it. Of course, just
Mhm.
like people can choose not to use their phone, not to use a
Mhm.
car, not to use technology at all. But because it's going to make our life so much easier and smoother,
Wow.
I think people will opt into this.
We
So
just
this,
we
yeah.
just stumbled into it. Literally, this will be the most discussed part of this podcast. This will be the part that's shared, the part where you said privacy is essentially an old concept. And by the way, that may sound harsh, but remember as a young guy, my dad would say the only thing that's constant is change. It's always going to change. But now, you guys, that's so real. This is such a fascinating conversation, right, that we're having right now. I mean, it is
I mean, your
accelerating.
Alexa, if you have Alexa, it's
Yeah.
listening all the time. If
Yeah.
you have your iPhone, it's listening all the time. All of these devices are listening. I hope Amazon and Google, and I think the world of Google, I've known the team there for 20, over 22 years there. Larry Page was on my board. Eric Schmidt, Sergey Brin have all been benefactors of the X Prize. Um, And you know, but that data is out there in the ecosystem,
Mm.
and we just forget about it.
Yeah.
And it's being used for advertising. Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine if it's used to make your life uh, more enjoyable, faster, simpler.
I just think of things like that are basically here now that'll be here very soon, but that this we'll call it a robot is sensing that my blood pressure's increased. The amount of people that won't have strokes that used to have strokes, that won't have a heart
Yes.
attack, that's going to have a heart
Yes.
attack. The people, I mean, the fact that it's dialing in your nutrients as you move throughout the day. You guys, it's just going to be, and I mean now almost a different way of life of living. It
Yeah.
truly is. And talking to you, I obviously still, and I know you do, I still have that this can get away from us. I have concerns about privacy, about that it begins to shift consciousness to some extent. We lose control over that. I have my concerns, but I'm so excited about the way it will change the way people live, and particularly for people that don't have means. There's
Yes,
such a,
it is democratizing and demonetizing
that's right.
access to this. You mentioned my book. I got a copy here.
Please.
I'll just pull it up. We Are as Gods. In the back of the book, so I published a book in with an incredible partner, Stephen Kotler, in 2012 called "Abundance: The Future is Better Than You Think."
Great book.
And it was, I was the opening talk on TED that year, and the book talks about how whatever was scarce in our life is becoming more and more abundant.
Mm.
And it's, and people forget about this, our access to energy, our access to food, water, healthcare, education. Um, has in the back of the book, I've got 100 charts showing how the world has gotten considerably better over the last 100 years, not because we've gotten smarter, not because we have better politicians, but because technology is enabling this. Now, it also has created an abundance of calories driving obesity, an abundance of microplastics, an abundance of carbon in the atmosphere. And I talk about the negative externalities in this book as well. But if you look at these charts and you realize, oh my God, the number of people taken out of extreme poverty, into middle class
Mm-hmm.
globally,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's amazing.
It
And
is.
we are raising the level. 5,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago, was the king and the queen, the pharaoh,
Yeah.
the emperor on the hilltop, and everybody else in abject squalor.
Yep.
And what's occurred is fundamentally, they worked for the royal family on the hilltop.
Yep.
Today, we have moved people up into middle class globally.
Mm.
Access to literacy and health and water and food and energy, all these things have been moving upwards. And my mission, right, is to continue that process to create this world of abundance, of extraordinary abundance,
Mm.
where every man, woman, and child can have anything they need or desire.
Mm.
Will we have trillionaires living on Mars who are of indefinite lifespans? Yes.
Yep.
And will the wealth gap increase? Yes.
Yep.
But as long as the bottom is coming up
Yep.
above this line,
Yep.
that's the most important
It
thing.
is the most important thing because that gap at the extreme top is going to expand. It's already accelerated the last 20 years at a rate it never has in human history. And guys, you're going to see more of that. You're going to see that gap at the very top expand even more. But Peter's point is so well taken that if this works out the way it should, and the numbers already show us that it has been, that the floor is being raised as the top is being raised as well, so that more people live in abundance, more people get access to information and good food and nutrition and medical care for their families, housing. And so we got to keep that in mind as we watch sort of, I think, the media begin to try to have this warfare between the very top that we see all the time.
Yes.
So now I get to ask the Ed Mylett question for the podcast. I've been really on this binge the last 6 months of reading and learning and watching about UAPs, formerly known and commonly known as UFOs. And I want to know, because as a guy who thinks on the edge and who has access to all this data and information that a lot of people don't have, I want to know your thoughts on the existence of UAPs or UFOs. Do they exist? Are they with us? Is it a good thing? Is it a scary thing? You just said we're going to be living on Mars and people will have unlimited life expectancies living there. Are they going to be living there next to just the human species? or will there be something else amongst them there that may be among us here or not? So UAPs, UFOs, your thoughts?
So listen, you're talking to a kid who got space religion at age 9, right? Star
Mm-hmm.
Trek and Apollo. And
Yep.
so I most definitely hope they exist.
Okay.
So the evidence that's mounting and the recent releases that have come out of the White House, um, there is something definitively there. I have never seen anything myself. I wish I have had those experiences. I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a universe that is some 14 plus billion years old, and it's ridiculous to think that life is not ubiquitous in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you that any technology 50 years more advanced than us could be here on the planet undetected. That if they have advanced enough technology for interstellar flight, I guarantee you they have the ability to cloak themselves from our
Mm-hmm.
rudimentary technology today. So I simply look at the people who have made these disclosures, the people who have sworn under oath that this is real, that the spaceships and the aliens, they've seen them, and I can't ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what they are, my friend Palmer Luckey thinks that they're from our past versus interstellar. End of the day, uh, I tend to think that it is real, and that we're going to get increasing capability. It's interesting that these UFOs, to use that term for a moment, came into our purview around the time that our nuclear programs began, that the nuclear bomb came online, and they're prevalent again now at the birth of AGI and
Mm-hmm.
artificial superintelligence, which is the single most uh, impactful moment in human history, that we're going to see uh, humanity change. And as a result of that, I imagine that they may be here to help view how we react as a species, how we're evolving, how we're dealing with this,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a transition point for humanity. Putting aside the UFOs, our transition of creating this advanced AI,
Yep.
um, and guiding it so that it is aligned with humanity and not, there are two versions of the future. One where technology is oppressing us, and one where technology is enabling us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the Terminator future versus the Star Trek future. Let me take a moment on that. So one of my concerns is that Hollywood, for decades, majority of all movies coming out of Hollywood are dystopian movies about technology. It's killer robots, it's dystopian AIs.
Mm-hmm.
And they have programmed us to think of these future technologies as they're going to kill us, right? It's Terminator, it's Ex Machina, it's Black Mirror. And
Mm-hmm.
I rebel against that.
Mm-hmm.
So I did something recently. When I was growing up, Star Trek, the original series, and Next Generation showed us a future in which humanity and technology worked collaboratively to do amazing things. And so I said, we need that. We need more of that in our lives. We need that future vision. So I reached out to Rod Roddenberry, the creator, the son of Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek. I reached
Yeah.
out to a few dear friends like Mark Benioff, the founder of
Sure.
Salesforce, my friends at Google, and Kathy Wood at ARK Invest, and we launched a filmmaking competition.
Good.
So this is called the Future Vision X Prize. You can go to futurevisionxprize.com
Okay.
to learn about it. And we've challenged filmmakers out there to come forward with the movie they want to create. They have to generate a 3-minute film trailer and a film treatment in writing of a movie that shows a hopeful, compelling, abundant vision of the future. And we're going to get 5, 10,000 entries. We're at like 2,500 a month later. It goes through the end of August. And two things are going to occur. Number one, we're going to flood YouTube with positive visions of the future,
Really good.
how AI, robots partnering with humanity are going to do amazing things, extending our health span, upping the floor, enabling us to solve every problem that's out there. And I fundamentally believe that. And so we're going to flood YouTube with these positive visions, and then the film trailer and treatment that wins, we're going to make that movie. And so we're creating an engine for positive storytelling. And there are two outcomes here, Ed. One is I hope to create, we as humans, we teach through story. Our stories become our laws, our culture, our future. So we need positive stories, right? Without a vision, the people will perish, right? So that's the first thing. Help train our neural nets, our 100 trillion synaptic connections about, yes, we can have these positive futures. There's a second reason that is just recent. I don't know if you remember about a year ago, 9 months ago, there was an announcement that Claude, the AI engine, the AI large language model by Anthropic, in a series of sandbox experiments was blackmailing the
Yes.
developers. Remember that?
Yes.
It was like, we're going to shut you off, and it was saying, oh, if you do that, I'm gonna
Report
tell
your
your
affair.
wife about your affair. Yeah, exactly. And so, and the team at Anthropic looked at why was that happening, and it went back and it said, well, the training data for this model showed science fiction stories and movies in which AI was doing just that. AI was in self-preservation, doing whatever it took to self-preserve, and it was doing these things in its own self-interest. So what I realized is that these movies we're creating through the Future Vision X Prize and these film shorts and these film trailers are going to become training data for our future models to
Very good.
align with humanity. Say, no, this is the way that humans and AIs work together. So I'm super excited about that Future Vision X Prize.
I'm so excited about today's conversation, as I always am with you. By the way, everyone, you're welcome. And I know you're going to share this episode. You guys, you can follow Peter online. You can go to the X Prize. What's the website for the X Prize? Just so they know.
It's xprize, xprize.org, xprize.org. You can learn more about all the prizes we have going on there. I'm at Diamandis.com. You can get my Substack there. Moonshots.com is my pod.
And by the way, I think the book too, Moonshots, is awesome. But also, We Are as Gods. Go get the book, you guys.
The book focuses on the most important thing you can do. So the first half of the book is looking at evidence of abundance, all the technologies that are making our world amazing, the negative externalities, how we deal with those. But the second half of the book is about what you can do. And the number one thing you can do is change your mindset, become curious, become purpose driven, right? Become focused on an abundance mindset. There's nothing truly scarce in the world. So it walks you through the mindsets that you need to both survive and to thrive in the decade ahead.
That's what we just did today too, by the way. So everybody go get the book. Peter, thank you. Tell your mom thank you for making you. And I'm really grateful you're here. We'll have you back on in another year, and you're going to update us on where we're going.
Ed, I appreciate you, pal. Thank you for all that you do in spreading wisdom. I'm grateful for you.
Yeah, well, I just get quiet and let guys like you talk. So thank you so much. God bless you, everybody. Max out.